Yes, lads, it's that time of the season. I don't want to hear it. North London Derby is the best derby in the Premier League, in
That's
my
a
opinion.
big claim, big bold claim to start the episode.
I think there's so many derbies where like the gulf between the two teams is too big. Man United, Liverpool slapping them 9 on their heads. I don't want to hear it. Was it 9? I don't know. But yeah, this week we're talking about North London Derby with our boys Matt and Sonny. We've got an Arsenal fan, well, 2 Arsenal fans, and we've got a Spurs fan and a QPR fan. London clubs at the helms. Boys, how you doing?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
All good, mate.
Yeah,
All
all
good.
good. I'm very excited. Obviously, off the back of another stinky international break. Let's get back into the proper football. And what a way to kick it off. We've got the North London Derby. I can feel the nerves already. Matt's nervous. Sonny's nervous. This guy won't stop shaking. It's going to be great. And this is what it's about. It's going to be proper football, not some of this nonsense Nations League. What is that? So both teams had fairly interesting windows. Arsenal very active, bringing in some big names. Spurs dropping some money. Players like Dominic Solanke, Gray, just doing what they had to do. Matt, we'll start with you. How would you rank Arsenal's sort of transfer window activity? Was it a good window? Could they have done more?
You're asking me after an Odegaard injury. Hey, everything changed. Nah, nah, but to be fair, I feel forgetting the injury, up until 12 o'clock on the final day, it was a 4.5 for me. Because I feel like we needed a winger, we needed a striker, not just Arsenal fans, so that everyone saw what we were. There was a gaping hole. Martinelli not been performing, we needed someone. I feel like the signing of Raheem Sterling has taken it from that to like a 7.5. Obviously, I think it's the fact that it's last minute. It's frustrating for Arsenal fans. We're like, why are we here again? After we started the window fast by getting Calafiori, we've got Moreno, which was a long protracted one. But I think to get them 3 players, it doesn't feel the same because Moreno's injured. You know what I mean? And he's out, Calafiori's doubts. But all in all, we've plugged the gaps we needed, but it's just unfortunate we're getting these injuries now. Last season, we were very lucky. And I said that luck will run out at some point, you know what I mean? So we had to make it count. But all in all, I say 7 out of 10. I still think I would have liked to have seen a striker. But listen, we can't hate. Havertz has done his bit. Havertz has performed well. He surprised me. And listen, you put him up top, he's making a difference. Did it for Germany, did it for Arsenal. So,
100%. Form-wise, he's one of the best strikers going at the moment.
You know what I mean? I think with Havertz, it's because when you watch him, aesthetically, he doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But he's very intelligent, very smart. And you're starting to see a bit of the Leverkusen Havertz, which is what we've all been waiting for. So, yeah, all in all, 7 out of 10. But let's see what Raheem Sterling does. I might raise it to a 9, depending on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Raz in an Arsenal shirt, not going to lie.
It's going to look so... You know that geezer on FIFA who's like the same guy, but he's...
in the crowd.
Yeah.
Quite funny. Right, and then, same question to you, Sonny. Spurs had in my opinion, quite a good window. How did you see Spurs' summer business?
No, I agree. I think we did have a good window, but a lot of Spurs fans are still not, or they don't think we did enough. But what we had to do is do what Arsenal have done, and this is what we said on my channel, didn't we? We had to shift a lot of deadwood, like you have over the last couple of years. You got rid of Socrates and Mustafi and players like that, Aubameyang, high wages. We had to get rid of Højbjerg, Brian Hill, and all that rubbish. So I think on an outgoing, it was like probably a 9 out of 10, but on incomings, I think, we've put down a lot of money on Dominic Solanke, which Spurs fans are mixed on. I think, you ask for a Premier League proven goal scorer, you get one put in front of you who scored 19 goals last season, and they're still not happy. They wanted Gyökeres, who is in a league where we don't know if that's, can you step up after that? Had one good year in the Championship. Solanke's been on a good trajectory, I feel like, in football. Like, he did start, people will say, oh, Chelsea and Liverpool didn't work out, but he was young. Like, Chelsea didn't give it a chance. Liverpool, he had to break into a Salah, Firmino, Mane front three at its peak. That's not easy. Only Jota has really done that in the last couple of years. So I feel like that's a great signing. Archie Gray's got a lot of potential. Wilson Odobert sort of came out of nowhere and has, ounces of potential, but still a bit raw, but, he's been chucked in at the deep end for Spurs so far. Lucas Bergvall, even though he was signed in January, technically joined this summer as well. Looks like a nice, tricky player. I guess there's a few areas where you think, what happens if Van de Ven gets injured? What happens when Udogie gets injured? Because you've got Spence now, who's stayed at the club for another summer, who could fill in at left back in the Premier League, even though he's not in the Europa League squad.
Yeah,
but you haven't got that, what Arsenal have done is they went and got Calafiori. We haven't got a player who could maybe come in because Dragerson can play centre back, but he's not as comfortable on the left as he is the right. So, which we saw against Newcastle for the first time, him and Romero swapped over, which I'd say helps his game. And then I guess the big gaping hole you've got to say as well is we didn't get a 6. But the problem was, and what I said to everyone was, everyone would be like, "We need to get a 6," but no one was saying any names. No one was saying like everyone was going like Rodri, like Rice, and I'm like, go on then, tell me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And then because it's not there, like the Rice and Rodri are like up here, and then everyone else is like here. Because Basuma could be that player, but he is a very infuriating player because when he's on his game, he's on his game. When he's not, you know, and we've got a lot of midfielders who can play the 8s, but when you ask them to play the 6, it's a whole different ballgame. It's almost like we needed Højbjerg, but we needed him to be able to run a bit more, pass a bit better. But that player doesn't really exist. You know, as I say, Rodri. You know, we were linked to people said, "What about Palhinha?" But is that really the player we need? Like, it's really hard to know. And like people were like, "What about you know, Zubimendi and Coney, who ended up moving on as well?" Like, it's just a really tricky market. I feel like that market is trickier than the striker market now because
I was going to say that like 6 risky. Market is pretty much like the striker market. There's like the upper echelons. You've got the Gyökeres, Osimhen kind of vibe, and then everyone else is kind of like a couple of tiers below. So you kind of, it's weird at the moment, the 6 and the striker market.
You're still going to be paying like ridiculous money for even sort of a B tier 6 or a B tier striker at the minute.
Yeah.
It's and that's why teams like Brighton, who managed to go out and pick these gems from like the Colombian 19th division, that's why they do so well. I mean, who out of Arsenal and Spurs had a better window, do you think? I'll give that to you, Sonny, and we can get Matt's opinion.
I feel like it's pretty similar because I'll be honest, and the Arsenal fans could answer this probably better than me. I still think Arsenal had a similar window to us, that there was still maybe a gaping hole and a striker could have been an option because I think Calafiori is a good signing. I feel like that adds some depth. You know, we were linked with him as well, but I guess you can offer him more starting minutes where we might not be able to. I think Moreno is a good signing, but again, can he do it at this level? Because he didn't at Newcastle. And then Sterling is one where you're just sitting there like, it makes sense, but it's you know, Chelsea have been mugged off really because they're still paying most of his wages.
Oh mate, we've absolutely had their trousers down.
It's a bit of a stopgap, and I look and think, Saka cover, Martinelli cover, but you know, Saka plays nearly all the minutes you can do in a season if he's not injured. So I feel like Arsenal could still have got like, because say for example, like you look at. We were discussing this, weren't we? How Arsenal's midfield is going to look. If you wanted to sort of put Havertz a bit deeper, then who do you play up top? Do you play Gabriel Jesus, who, you know, goes hot and cold? Do you know, Nketiah is not there anymore. So it's really like, I'd say both windows are similar. It's just, because even like, you could argue, and this is me maybe being a bit controversial, that you did sign Rice maybe to be that 6, but he is, personally, I think he's better as an 8. So does Moreno come in to then, you know, now play in that position because Jorginho's getting on. Same with Partey, can't keep fit. So I mean that's quite a big long answer from myself, but I still think there is areas in both teams where you can go. But at the end of the day, you can't. You know, we're not like, you know, Arsenal do throw money around now, but you're not like Chelsea. You can just like chuck 20 million at every other player.
Yeah, I said to Luke on the podcast that we are splashing money about more than we ever have, but I'd say we're one of the smartest teams in the market in the past few years. Like we have, like back in the day, we'd make 4 signings, 3 of them would be flops, but now we make 4 signings, 3 of them will be top tier and 1 might flop. So I think, we're a lot smarter in the market. Matt, how do you think Spurs' window's gone?
I think Sonny alluded to it earlier. I feel like their main thing was clearing the deadwood in this window. And it's like that period when we had Aubameyang and that we had to clear them players and get them out. Yeah. I feel like Spurs are at a point now where we can't expect this window to be the one where they're going to launch themselves into like a top four race. But I think it's right. I think Solanke, like I saw Sonny talking before about Tony Solanke, and I think Solanke is the right person for Spurs to go up there. Yeah, right, cool. He looked a bit, was it Leicester, and then I can't remember who played the second game. Did he score? No, he didn't score. But yeah, I feel like he'll get better. I think Bergval's a good signing. The Gray one frustrated me because you know what? I like seeing these younger players, and he slotted in perfectly. I watched him in pre-season, and I thought, this guy's good. I do like him. But listen, Spurs are at a point now where they've got these young players coming through. I still think they need a lot of experience. I think the 6 is what they really, really needed. I feel like Spurs are going to have issues throughout the season, and I said this early in the season, without the 6. I feel like Basuma's inconsistent. Bentancur, you ain't got a Bentancur of old. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of declined a bit, in my opinion. But yeah, they look good. Listen, Spurs are a decent side, and it hurts as an Arsenal fan saying it. But no, listen, their window was good, and I'm with Sonny. I feel like they were relatively even, both windows.
Yeah, I think for me as the neutral, I think both teams had a good window. I think both teams could have done more, but it's difficult to do more and have the perfect window because, like we said, the striking options aren't there. For you can't go spend £300 million a window. You have to abide by all the new football regulations. We're seeing teams riding a very thin line between having to fail PSR and pass PSR. Financial fair play, European competition financial rules. Like, you can't just go out and spend ridiculous money just because you have it. But I think both teams did what they needed to do, and more would have been the cherry on the top. But I think both teams probably had semi-equal windows. I don't think there's too much to separate them.
I agree. And now the season has started, we should probably talk about how the start of the season's gone, because it's kind of gone so-so for both of us. We'll start with Spurs. So 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. Sonny, what are you taking from that? Because he started off with that Leicester result, which was kind of the kick in the gut, late equaliser after a game where you were dominating pretty much the whole time. And then the Everton game kind of brought it back. Really good result, pretty good display against, albeit a pretty dire Everton team.
Probably the worst team in the Premier League so far.
I agree. And then Newcastle, again, dominating for pretty much the whole game, but you lose.
Yeah, it's a proper mixed bag of a start. Considering that I think when we drew like last season against Brentford, and then we beat Manchester United, and then we beat, I can't remember who the third team was, and then Andrew obviously got manager of the month. I think he got 3 in a row. So it's a bit different. And then obviously what people will say is that, we obviously went on that run last season of poor results, and there's this common thread in the last couple of games that we've dominated possession, we've dominated chances, we just haven't finished them off. Like, if you look back at all 3 games, the amount of balls being played across the box, and just no one's on the end of them, or wrong decision making. Obviously Solanke played the first game against Leicester, looked quite, looked really up for it, good movement, but got injured and missed the next 2 games. And I think if you had him against Everton, he would have scored probably 2. And if you had him on the end of some of the Brennan Johnson crosses when he came on at half time, I think, we win that game easy. But obviously that's all well and good saying that in hindsight. But I think it's that and Andrew sort of tweaked his side in an attacking sense this season. We're playing even more attacking, if you can believe that, because he's playing like Kulusevski sometimes in the 8 along with Maddison. So it means that you've got the inverted fullbacks who overlap as well. You've got the wingers who are, pinning the fullbacks in, and then you've got the striker or the false 9, whoever we go with, sort of floating and creating as well. So it is one of those things where I left all 3 games thinking like, we should have had 9 points really, but football doesn't work that way. Newcastle can be really potent when they want to be. Vardy, even at his age, can be potent at the best of times. And yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's really hard to sum it up, and that's why it's quite similar to probably the Arsenal game against Brighton as well, where there's moments where you're sitting there thinking like, what could have been? Dropping points this early on, but I'm not too negative about it because I can see what's happening. I can say, let's put it this way. Us Spurs fans have been crying out for this football.
Yeah.
After Mourinho, Nuno, and Conte. We just wanted attacking football back, and we've got that. And all we got to do is just subtle tweaks here and there. Even like, don't get me wrong, people say high line defence. I actually don't think there was moments of madness where like Romero stepped out. That can be worked on. I think our set pieces, we've actually got another. He's not a set piece coach, but because Ange Postecoglou's assistant Chris Davis has gone to Birmingham, there was a gap, and a guy called Nick Montgomery's come in, and he's taken the set piece duty off of Ryan Mason. So
Because it's been bad.
you've noticed that. Because it's been terrible, but like you can see from an attacking and a defensive sense that we're becoming more accustomed to set pieces. The delivery's been better. We've scored a corner already, which like I just feel like they were just a waste last season getting corners. So yeah, it's one of those all around sort of answers where I just feel like there's more to come for Spurs. I haven't been dampened by this, and people calling for Ange out or even murmurs about like questioning Ange. I just feel it's a bit silly.
Yeah, from the outside looking in, I would take that glass half full completely. I look at that and be like, in the 3 games, we were the dominant team in each game. And like you said, with a couple of tweaks, with a couple of lucky breaks of chances, with a lucky break on Dominic Solanke's injury, you would have, yeah, like you said, probably got 9 points.
I mean, you just got to look at the bigger picture. Spurs, as a club, are just far better off than they were 2 years ago. You know, the fans are excited,
100%.
although there is division, but there's always going to be division. There's always going to be the people that want way more than is possible at that time. But yeah, and I think whilst it's disappointing to drop points to Leicester, picked up points against Everton, which you'd expect to do. Newcastle, you'd be disappointed in the manner that you didn't pick up anything. But
people lose to Newcastle all the time.
It's the long season.
Also,
I don't think anyone's expecting you to come in and challenge for the title where you can only afford to really drop like 4 points the whole season, you know. But
the last 2 years, we've gone up to St James's Park and just absolutely been. We lost 4-0 and 6-1. We were 5-0 down or something. So at least going up there and putting on a bit of a fight it's a small win, and people will make fun of you saying that on Twitter.
One of my mates at work, he's a Spurs fan, and he went up for the weekend, said he had a good time. Newcastle's a good night out.
Yeah, he actually stayed. He didn't leave early. That's what it was.
So yeah,
he wouldn't have said that if it was Mourinho ball.
Exactly. And so Matt, Arsenal 7 points on the other end. So he started the season, good result against Wolves. And then Aston Villa game, which is a game last season where we picked up a grand total of 0 points, beat them. And Brighton game we drew. So 7 points. How have you looked at our start of the season?
I look at the Wolves game. It's the first game of the season. Anything can happen. Emirates, you kind of felt would win. I think the Villa game were very fortunate. I'm not one of them to say, we deserve to beat them. What I will give us the credit for is we are more resolute. And I think that's where signings like Timber, Calafiori make a difference. You know, we brought Calafiori in. I know it's an 11-minute cameo, but I was gassed.
Yeah,
I love what he did when he come in. And yeah, it looked very, very good. And I feel like Arsenal now have a team that can deal with them type of games, and not like the years before. The Brighton one was frustrating. We're not going to get too much into the Declan Rice thing, but what frustrated me is that we even had chances at 10 men.
Yeah.
The chances at 10 men with 11. Saka had the chance as well, and a couple more. And I feel like that's what we miss at the moment. I don't think we've really clicked into gear yet. To be fair, apart from maybe Man City and Liverpool, I don't think many teams have. You know, they're coming off like, competition, international competition. So it's taken a bit of time. For me, this next 3 weeks, massive.
Huge.
Massive. Because we're already 2 points behind City, right? God forbid we lose to Spurs and City, then go and win. That's already 5 points.
And then we go
City
the week after.
City.
Jesus Christ.
It could be 8. And then suddenly you're like, wait a second, what? And then 33 games or 32 games left. And it's like, I think, like you were saying, is that you can't afford to drop points, too many points. And I think that was the concern for me. Like, we're already dropping 2 points. Yeah. But those are the standards now. And I feel like we can do it, but just see it just different, isn't it?
Those are the fucking standards, as Arteta would say. No, I totally agree. I think, like Luke pointed out earlier, it's Spurs, I don't think we're looking to go into a title race. So like Luke said, drop points aren't as cataclysmic as they are if Arsenal,
especially when they're surrounded by good performances.
Exactly. Whereas Arsenal,
It's all about points.
It's about points. It's not even performances. Like you said, that Villa game, we were not the better team, but we got 3 points. And that's what we need to do. Man City, I said this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, they are like the best team in the world at not dropping like a 6 out of 10 performance, but winning even though they do it. And that's what Arsenal have got to develop. That's like Man City in that Brighton game, they would have won that game somehow. And we need to kind of develop that. I don't know how
you can only develop that by being in those situations.
Yeah.
And Arsenal have been so good over the last couple of seasons that they've rarely found themselves in those positions. I think the only one that comes to mind is maybe the Bournemouth game where you won 3-2.
Yeah, huge.
And it's those situations that you can't really prepare for. The only experience is experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's where we stand at the moment. Going in to what is probably the biggest game of the season. Well, definitely the biggest game of the season so far. Biggest game of the seasons all the time. The North London derby. We'll preface it with, we'll start by discussing, obviously, we had a big international break where Arsenal have had somewhat unfortunate injuries. We spoke briefly about Declan Rice. Obviously, he's going to miss the game.
No Odegaard, no Calafiori. Matt, are you stressing? Because I'm stressing.
Is the Calafiori one confirmed?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, confirmed in mind. I don't know. I'm not going to, yeah.
Yeah. No, do you know what? I think Calafiori will be all right. I think Odegaard's out. I think Rice is out. But do you know what? I still feel confident. I just think, do you know what? I feel like,
I think he might be back.
No, I just think like, and this is not a thing against Spurs. I feel like Spurs are still warming up. They've just, redoing it. And I feel like we've got them at the right time. Like normally we play Spurs and it'll be like that latter point of the season where they're warming up. Sonny's on form and they're cooking. But I feel like we've got them because I feel like I look at the midfield. I think Spurs will probably go with what? Bissouma, Benson, Core, Madders? Is that the 3 they go with? I think is it generally. I think us will be Partey, Jorginho, and yeah. But I feel like we need Partey and Jorginho to just pull it out of the bag. This is a game where it's like, guys, I know you're old, but come on, like, do it. But I just think the way we interchange, and this is what the difference with Arsenal now. We've got players where we can rotate the front three. Remember how Liverpool had Salah, Firmino, Mane, where everyone was just all over the place. And I feel like that will cause Spurs problems. Spurs have talent of their own that will cause us issues. But I feel like Ange can't play that high line because now we've got Raheem Sterling. And I feel that's the slight difference we need because if Spurs decide, I know Van der Ven's the quickest person in the world, but it's kind of like Raheem Sterling is that guy now. They can't play that high line. And I think he'll be the big difference.
I agree. I'm excited to see Raz. I think he could, like you said,
massively.
Be a big difference.
Yeah, massively. But yeah, it's going to be. Listen, it's a derby, isn't it? And I'm sure Sonny will tell you, you've seen derbies where Spurs have been better than us, we've been better than them, and the result is just mad. But I am confident. I genuinely am confident. Just no more injuries.
I found it interesting that you said that we have caught Spurs at the right time because I know Sonny thinks that you might have caught Arsenal at the right time because obviously there's no Odegaard, no Rice. Start of the season, we're still kind of finding our feet. We, like Sonny said in the video where we recorded on his channel, we normally play at Spurs' stadium later on in the season. But to catch Spurs at their home stadium at the start of the season, is the ball in your court, Sonny?
I mean, annoyingly, yes. And I prefer going into these games a bit under the radar because, you can't hide it against the fact that, Arsenal were missing so many key players in that midfield. And, it might be different if, say, it was like one defender, one attacker, because you could sort of like even that out. But 2 key midfielders out, and it makes, I mean, we can argue till the cows come home about if it was a red card or not. But point aside, was it worth it ahead of a key fixture? And then you've got a key fixture the week after. I know obviously it's only a 1-game ban, but still, this early in the season, you've got to accumulate those points to be in the title race where Arsenal should be now most seasons. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. As I started off there saying, like, annoyingly, because we've got Solanke hopefully coming back, Mickey van der Ven coming back because their injuries were just knocks. You hope, like, it does put the ball firmly into our court, but we can't argue that in this fixture the last couple of seasons, especially at White Hart Lane, you've come and you've sort of, dominated. Even like last season, you went 3-0 up and we, came close to pulling it back, but the game was mentally gone at half time. The season before, again, similar situation, you went 2-0 up it ended 2-0. We just couldn't break you down in the second half,
Yeah, it did,
no matter how hard we tried. What we sort of need to do is we need to go back a season before that to where, you know, that game where we were both fighting for fourth place. It was a cauldron, you know.
Yeah.
What's his name? Rob Holding got sent off, or was it
Yeah.
Rob Holding got
3-0,
sent off?
yeah.
Get the Arsenal's heads early doors, you know, get someone rattling Arteta on the touchline like Højbjerg did, and just sort of that's what we need. We need this win as much as you, because it's a momentum pusher for the rest of the season, and that this early on, it just will be so important for whoever wins going forward, because we need it to sort of show that we can battle it with the big boys, because that's what we sort of show at the fixture last season at the Emirates. Like, we played handball football. I know it ended 2-2, but we showed that like we're here to, like, you know, not just make up the numbers.
Yeah.
And I know there were, you know, it was a few mistakes, but everyone was on top form, and it just went quite well. Whereas I think your goals were a penalty and a wicked deflection off Romero. So yeah, it's. I think this is one of the hard. This is what I mean. You said it at the beginning as well. The best derby in the Premier League. I think it's the best derby in the world, because I don't care about that. Celtic Rangers is just a bit tin pot. Boca Juniors River Plate is just a bit like no one cares. And also those get too violent. Like ours is at least I feel like we can have respect for each other with actually like hating each other. Even though I don't know why you guys sing North London forever, because you're not even from North London.
All right, leave it.
One thing I just want to say, I know Sonny was talking about the importance of a win and momentum push. I feel that even if, let's say, God forbid, Arsenal don't win, I'm not concerned that going forward we're going to hit a rut. Because obviously we still got players coming back, so I feel like we still got a moment to gain the momentum. I think for Spurs, should they go and lose this one, I think it would be a hammer blow going forward in terms of what they want to do. But yeah, that's my opinion.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Is there a bigger hammer blow for Arsenal than losing to Spurs, and then you've got Atalanta midweek, and then on to City?
That is true.
You could if you lose to Spurs, you could potentially go into the Champions League off the back of a massive loss to your biggest rivals. At 1 point in 2 games, and then if that doesn't go well midweek, you've got to go to City. That's nuts. That's nuts.
And also with the Champions,
after you, Sonny.
I was going to say, with the Champions League as well, with the new format, like, you need to get points on the board to get into those. I don't even know. I don't even know what you call it. Those sort of qualifying positions on the leaderboard. Yeah, the upper tier. So, like, even that game, and Atalanta are no mugs because they've just won the Europa League.
Exactly. Yeah.
Always squeaky bum time in North London already.
So, moving on to the state of the game, we've heard a little bit about how the table lies, how the teams have been getting on, but now we're getting to the meaningful part of it.
The nitty gritty.
Matt, let's start with you. How is it going to pan out? Is it going to be free flowing? Is one team going to dominate?
Cagey stuff from Arsenal potentially because of the whole midfield situation. What do you think?
I think Spurs will come out the blocks. I think that's what's going to happen. I feel like if Arsenal can survive the first 20-25 without conceding, I think slowly we'll start to get a foothold. And I know, yes, we're missing Odegaard, but I still think there's quality players there. Listen, Jorginho is still a quality player. He is older, but he can see if he gets on the ball, find a free ball. Like I said, we've got Raheem Sterling now, so he can loft it over the top and whatever. But yeah, they're going to start off fast. I think the first goal is massive in this one. I think like last season, if you could look at when we scored, who scored our first goal? Was it Saka? The first goal? Yeah, and you remember Spurs were on it. They had the corner and then Maddison thought it was a pen and then we went up the other end and scored. But Spurs have got that in them. So we just have to survive that little bit. And I think overall we'll win. And again, that's not to disrespect Spurs. I just think we've got enough quality. And I feel like Timber's there now. You know
what do you reckon our midfield will look like then? If you seem pretty confident, what do you reckon?
I think they're going to go Partey, Jorginho, the other midfielder. He might even drop Havertz into it back to 3, and then he'll probably go Saka, Sterling, Jesus, or Trossard, Trossard. I feel like Jesus brings the chaos. So
I think Jesus, Saka, and Sterling, that is a frightening front 3.
That is a frightening one.
In front of goal, maybe a bit dodge, apart from Saka. But in terms of pure like aggression, ability to beat a man, kind of scare a back line, that's a scary front 3.
Yeah, and I think bring Trossard on Because Trossard's, as I always say, he's like our version of Jota. Like, he really is. He'll come on, put in front of goal, we score. So we still got the quality there. I'm just so gassed to see Sterling. I don't know about you.
Mate, I'm gassed.
I really think this game he's gonna come alive. I genuinely do.
That'd be nice. Sonny, what about you? What do you reckon the game is gonna pan out like? You're on mute, by the way.
Muted.
Honestly, it's not gone well today, is it? Bad omens for the game. But yeah, it's interesting to hear Arsenal fans again thinking they can turn around another Chelsea flop. So that'll be interesting. Now I've said that, he's definitely going to score now, isn't he?
No, please.
But it's hard to call it in the sense of the way the scripts sound, I feel will go is that I think it's going to be cagey. I think Arsenal are going to defend well and just try and, nip at Spurs each and every opportunity they've got, sort of catch them on a break, catch them on a mistake, a counter, something like that. I don't see it being too high scoring. I just think it's going to be a draw. I feel like a draw is just suits both teams early on in the season. It's not too much pressure. It's really hard to see because you've got a midfield of Spurs that I still don't know what the starting midfield really looks like, and we've seen two variations of it literally change on its head each week so far in the Premier League. And then you've got Arsenal's midfield, which could be, Tom, Dick and Harry in there. We don't know, do we? So it's going to be interesting to see. And it'll just be on who's got the stronger defence. That's the thing with Arsenal. Arsenal have always got a strong defence. They've conceded, one goal so far this campaign, which is, really, really good. And that's what they pride themselves on as well. And then, Saka's got having a good game. I think Odegaard is a bigger miss than Rice. I really do. I feel like the thing is, people call him people have a go at Odegaard, but if he doesn't get a goal contribution, but he's always there putting the strings, ticking it over more than I think Rice does or whoever else is in that midfield.
In a big game, you want someone that can dictate the game, and Odegaard is that.
Exactly. I think he's, you look at what people call out Bruno Fernandes for. Odegaard does the opposite of that. I feel like he is a good captain. He is, leading by example.
Yeah.
He is not all about him sort of thing. So, yeah, I feel like that is a very, very big miss.
So even with those big misses, Odegaard and Rice, and obviously some of the injuries like maybe Calafiori or whatever, you still think that Spurs won't have enough to get the W?
I just think it's still at that stage where I don't know if Spurs are good enough to still beat a top team some weeks. And not so much in an attacking sense. I think we hold our own. I think, we have a lot of possession. We have a lot of chances. It just depends on, can we get Solanke firing? Can we create enough chances? Well, the answer to that is yes. But can we get enough clear-cut chances where, exactly, to put them away? And all it takes is, and it's not even the fact of, I've said this a lot on my channel, I said it on our preview as well, the fact that Spurs' defence isn't the issue. It isn't an issue as in, individuals, really, or the back line. Because actually, their defensive numbers are quite good. I mean, you could say Udogie started the season slowly, Romero as well. But it's the midfield getting bypassed all the time. One ball just goes through.
Yeah,
that's it. And that's not necessarily the high line, because you hope that your midfield can stop that ball being played through from deep from Joe Linton anyway. It's the fact of just getting a hold of that in the big games. And that's the thing, because against Everton and the lower teams, the free promotion teams as well, Ipswich and Southampton, you can afford to you can get away with that sort of stuff. But Arsenal, City, Liverpool,
they'll kill you.
You do one thing, exactly. They'll hold you against the wall and just it's endgame.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think personally, it's going to be. So you said there's going to be cagey and not so many goals. I think it will be cagey, but goals, because I think the Arsenal midfield being as kind of up in the air as it is, Jorginho coming in, I think, like Matt said, he is a good player, but we saw last year's North London derby, he got dropped in mistake immediately. And I think a game like this where the tempo is going to be so high, players that haven't got many minutes under the belt, I think they could be prone to a mistake. And
especially if, like we say, the impetus is really there for Spurs to go and take this game to Arsenal, a weakened Arsenal side. So if Spurs do start fast, which we've seen them do, they've got electric players. That combined with the fact, like what you're saying, someone like Jorginho getting dropped in, not had many minutes, catch him off guard and suddenly find himself 1-0 down. And then can Spurs hold out the Arsenal offensive?
And then it's that Spurs high line. Can we have line breakers like Saka, Jesus, Sterling, maybe getting on the end of some chances? I think there's goals. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal. Luke, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. 2-2 goals draw. Galore. I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be messy. There's going to be mistakes. And I think it's going to be a great watch for the neutral.
Sonny, what do you reckon the score will be?
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-0. I feel like, cagey. Just a game where I think both teams would be happy with a draw. If Arsenal can leave with a draw as well during all this, you know, if they can get a win or a draw against us and then a draw against City, then they'll look at that as a success in this really troublesome period. Especially because I think like a lot of these injuries are like a month long, so it's come at the wrong time. But yeah, I think 1-0 is probably about right. I still just think we're not at the top of our game at the moment, but we're getting towards there slowly.
Nice. And Matt, what do you reckon the score will be?
People are going to think I'm mad when I say this. I think 2-0.
2-0?
2-0. Yeah, you know, I just think Arsenal's defence, like Sonny said, Arsenal's defence is solid. And I feel like if Calafiori's fit, again, we've got another option. And if Solanke's fit in the final, I just need Sonny not to score. Because I'm tired of that guy scoring against Arsenal, you know. But, you know what I mean? But no, I feel like it'll be 2-0. Spurs will have chances, but yeah, I think we'll see this one out. I don't know why I feel so confident.
I love your confidence. So we got a 2-0 for Matt. We got a 1-1 for Sonny. 3-2 for me. Well, no, 3-1 I said, and a 2-2. They're all the predictions. But if you're interested in ball draw fives this week, we've actually got Matt and Sonny predicting 4 other games. So if you want to see how they pan out, what their predictions are, stay tuned for our next video where we react to
we'll
this
find
week's
out
Premier League action.
We'll find out how they get on. They've got Jacob to beat, who I think sits at the top with 6 points at the minute.
Indeed.
So he's been set up there a little bit too long. It's time for one of you boys to dethrone him. And yeah, we've alluded to it a couple of times during this episode. We've filmed a video over on Sonny's channel. The link to that will be down in the description below alongside all his other links. And also, Matt as well, thank you very much for coming on. We'll have all Matt's links down in the bio as well. He's pumping out a lot of Premier League content and also some fantasy Premier League content. So if you enjoy your FPL, definitely head on over there because he is flying at the minute. So you could definitely pick up a thing or two.
Boys, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff. We'll see how the North London derby pans out. Are you nervous? Are you excited? Is your team going to win big? Who knows? Let us know down in the comments below. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. And all our socials are down in the link as well, down in the description. So you can follow us on there to see more of our smug faces. It's been Ball Draw. North London Derby is here. And it's live.